So it's been a week since Animal Crossing New Horizons came out, and it possibly couldn't have come out at a better time. The world kind of really needs this game right now, and I just want to start out by saying that I actually really like this game. The point of this video originally was just to show off how far I got in a week, but now it's sort of turned into what I'm going to consider to be a review of the game at its first week. This is a game that you can't really review like this early in. There's definitely stuff that you could go off of this early in, like what I'm doing here with the first week of content. But Animal Crossing has so much stuff spread across the entire year, especially now where Nintendo's going to be adding in updates and adding in events, that the full game can't really be experienced until a full year has passed. So this is more so just a review of the game at its first week. Different to any other Animal Crossing, New Horizons takes place on an island as opposed to a town. And unlike all the other games, here you actually show up with there being absolutely nothing here. Where in the past games you would show up and there would be at least a couple people there, the store's already set up and all that stuff. Here they give you the complete freedom to work from nothing. And while this may seem kind of bland, there's nothing to do, nothing happening, it's actually pretty nice. This is the first time where you're going to have full customization over everything that's done. And in New Leaf, there was some customization you could do, some modifications you could make, stuff that you could add, but it wasn't to this level. You can add anything you want to your island. You can choose anything you want. The only thing that can't be changed is the location of resident services. Anything else can be moved, and if you don't like where you placed it, well, later down the road, you get to move it whenever you want. And this is actually something that I am a big fan of. I've always wanted the entire personality to be under my control, essentially. I've always wanted to have a complete control and customization of the island itself or the town in the past, and it just hasn't really been a thing. But now, thanks to all this stuff, now I have spent probably more bells moving stuff around than I have actually paying off my loans. I probably could have paid off all my loans at this point, but I've spent way too many bells moving stuff. And that's one thing you're going to have to pay to move stuff later, so keep that in mind. The game's big draw is the crafting system, which has never been in any past game. Now, I was originally kind of skeptical about this, and I was kind of concerned that way too much of the game is going to be focused on the crafting. And it sort of is. There's still a heavy emphasis on crafting most of the game's stuff. However, I was kind of concerned that stuff like Nook's Cranny was going to be irrelevant and all the furniture in the game was going to have to be crafted. This is thankfully not the case. There's just some obscure and customizable stuff that is craftable, where the stuff you buy from the store is set in stone. Also in this game that's new are the Nook Miles things. They're sort of like achievements in this game. You get to do various little tasks and you get miles that you can use to either buy stuff or get certain tickets that allow you to go to even more deserted islands that exist solely for the reason to get resources. This is a nice thing to have, and I was kind of wishing that the Switch itself had an achievement system, but this is nice in its own. It doesn't tell you directly how to get any of them. You just sort of have to do the task to unlock the achievement, and then the achievement tree, if there's more than one, then it tells you how to get those. But to unlock the first level, it's completely unknown, and you just sort of have to do it to get it. And I really like this because it is very reminiscent of an achievement system. And the miles you earn can once again be used to pay off certain stuff and to buy certain things. And if you get far enough in the game, you start to get daily tasks, things that will just constantly refresh and you can get miles from that aren't essentially achievements. They're just sort of certain very small things like sell stuff to get 5,000 bells, or spend 5,000 bells, or catch 5 fish, or donate 3 fossils, things like that. And they become a really quick and easy way to get miles that aren't tied to just figuring out what these achievements are. One thing that excited a lot of people when Nintendo showed it off is the actual island customization itself through landscaping and waterscaping. These things aren't available at launch, like when you start the game you're not going to get them, and it's going to take a little bit to get them as they're tied to progression. and you have to meet certain requirements to even get them. And then even when you unlock the ability to do it, you don't have the ability to do it. You have to buy permits to actually be able to customize the landscape. And this is something that I was really looking forward to. As I mentioned on Twitter a couple times that I was looking for a specific island layout. My plan was to have my island be split between one half being where everyone lived and the other half being where all the businesses were. And I sort of got that with one of the first islands I chose. I got lucky enough to have a layout that I wanted right away, and I didn't have to reset for it. But the landscaping ability made it to where I could fix my island's natural landscape to be exactly what I wanted. And now that I have the ability to do that, I've spent quite a bit of time just terraforming cliffs that are just irrelevant or in my way. And that's where most of my time lately has gone towards. Not so much adding any water yet, but the landscaping and waterscaping stuff is really nice if you just don't really like the layout of your island, or you just don't like where a cliff is, or if it's in your way and you just wanted to have a certain spot on the island, or if you wanted to just add cliffs to a spot you think they would do well in, or it would look nice in. Well, a couple days in, maybe actually probably around a week is probably how long it would take. I got mine around Thursday. So because you're starting on a deserted island, not everything is accessible from the beginning. You might have seen, or maybe you are one of the people that's playing it, all of the posts about the museum not being open immediately. In fact, it takes 2 days for the museum to even become available. So people were just stockpiling bugs and fish and everything. And while it's kind of funny, the actual museum itself and the changes it's got were pretty nice. Being able to mass donate stuff, mass check fossils, it's all really nice. And one little subtle thing that I haven't seen people mention that's really nice about the museum is if you have something that's already been donated, you won't even be prompted to donate it. In fact, if you click make a donation and your inventory is just full of stuff that's already been donated, he will just tell you you don't have anything new for him, and therefore it just ends the dialogue. That's actually a really nice change, and I like to see that, as it doesn't really mean you have to go into the inventory and try to check if you've actually done it and have donated something before, or check the Critterpedia in this game to see if it's marked as already donated. And then when it comes to unlocking Nook's Cranny, you have to do that through a couple of days, and then you have to actually build it. You have to make the building itself. You have to gather the resources so that they can build it. And then Able Sisters becomes available after a few more days after that. You will end up seeing them in your town, and you have to, I don't know if you have to, I just sort of did it, and then they made the building, but I bought clothes from them before they actually had a storefront. And then after a while, they just built a store in my town. And currently it does still lack some stuff, like there's no cafe, so there's no Brewster. Tortemeyer isn't anywhere to see. There's still some missing stuff in this game, and some people may argue that it's actually lacking in content compared to New Leaf. But because the game is still going to be actively receiving updates and they're going to be patching in events and things like that, there's a chance that maybe down the road these characters will actually show up and more villagers will become available. And people found out that a good way to check if your favorite villager is available is if you go to the photo op and you scan an amiibo card for your favorite villager. If it tells you you can't use them, then they're just not in the game, unfortunately. So I've done a bit of singing the game's praises, but what are some of my gripes about it? Well, my biggest gripe, and I haven't really mentioned it on Twitter, but my biggest gripe with the game has to be with the crafting the tools. The tools are something you're going to be constantly using, and you're probably going to have to be constantly crafting them. The flimsy tools, the starter ones that you always make, they just don't last very long. And then you get the ability to buy the upgrade kit for the actual normal level tools later. You can then craft the normal axe, the normal shovel, the normal net, things like that. But those also have durability. And while it's improved durability, it's still durability. And I was kind of hoping that the normal level tools would have either drastically higher durability or would just outright not have durability. And that's unfortunately not the case. And also, unfortunately, even the golden tools have durability. I don't have any of them yet, but I've heard from people saying that the golden tools even have durability, which is really unfortunate because the gold tools require a lot of time and resources, and there's a lot that goes into acquiring them, and they're still going to break. Another gripe is the fact that there's no warning that the tools are breaking. There's no indication that something is about to break, that your axe is about to break, your net's about to break. It just sort of happens. And it could catch you off guard. If you're in the middle of chopping down a tree, you hit it twice and your axe breaks, well, now you got to go build a new axe. You see a bunch of fish, you catch one, your net breaks, well, now you have to go back and craft another one. It's not a huge gripe maybe, but I just don't like the durability aspect being on the higher level tools that I crafted. And then you have to also use the flimsy level tools to craft the normal level tools. So you have to craft the flimsy tool to craft the normal tool. And then my last tool related gripe is after you craft all the normal flimsy level tools, you can buy them from the store. But once you craft all the normal level tools, you can't buy those. I would really like the ability to do that because then it just saves time having to craft over and over. But no, you just can't buy the normal level tools. You can only buy the flimsy tools. So more often than not, I actually just buy the flimsy tools and then just use the resources needed to just upgrade it. And that's how I make all my tools. As of right now, that's pretty much my only real gripe, is that the tools I feel aren't really handled great, or they could be improved, or I just don't like the durability thing. It's kind of weird. I'm just not a fan of it. But other than that, the game is really good. And if you've never played an Animal Crossing game before, this is probably the best one to play. This has so much more than all the others. It's lacking in certain fields, but it could also be patched in. And there's just so much customizable things in this game that it allows you to express yourself in ways that none of the other games in the series have. And the online component isn't completely garbage either. Granted, it's more of a simple system as opposed to something like Splatoon, where you're just going to someone else's island to hang out. It functions and doesn't seem to have any inherent issues. I haven't seen anything crazy happen. I've never seen people distort or teleport or anything like that. So it's got that going for it. But Animal Crossing New Horizons is definitely a game worth checking out if you haven't played an Animal Crossing game, or if you're for some reason on the fence about it. I don't know why you would. It's just absolutely worth the money. And I hope to see the events that Nintendo plans to add. And the fact that they are being patched in gives me hope that yearly events will be different. Whereas opposed to in the past games where every Christmas was the same, every Halloween was the same, all the holidays were the same. This gives them the ability to make subtle differences in each holiday every year. Granted, they probably won't do it for forever because there's no reason to, but I'd like to see some differences in the holidays maybe a year from now, where the game has been out for a year and the game's second year is beginning, and to see the differences in the holidays. Also to see what could get added. But all in all, I would probably, on a scale from 1 to 10, I'd probably rate the game maybe an 8.5 or even a 9. As a longtime fan of the series, this game was a ton of fun to play, and I'm still finding myself constantly playing it the moment I wake up until I have to go to work, and then I get home from work, and I play it some more. It's definitely worth the time, it's definitely worth the money, and that's all I can really say. Granted, like I said, this is only a week in, so there's still some stuff that I haven't seen. There's, in fact, probably quite a few things I haven't seen. So this isn't a complete review of everything the game has to offer, because there could always be more. But as the game is right now, and in my opinions, a week in, this game is absolutely worth buying. So that's it for this video. I want to thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.